The Tommy Campbell Show. Maybe you're on your way to the massive No Kings protest, or maybe you're catching this when you get back. Thank you, because it's not just at the top anymore. Trump's reached the everyone's unqualified stage of the administration, with ICE agents now making air travel even more stressful, like that was ever possible. It feels like the goal is to make sure the incompetence flows from Trump like a murky waterfall of stupid. Because of the DHS shutdown, TSA agents haven't been paid, lines are the longest in history, and the solution from a president who, by the way, did bankrupt an airline, is to deploy agents trained for a completely different job to help out at the airport. The airport, come on, the one place on earth where you're absolutely certain to have documentation. Nobody's at the gate flashing a post-it note with their address. You've got real ID, multiple apps, a boarding pass on your phone that you're, pulling out just hoping, okay, this would be the worst time ever to get one of those unsolicited photos. And somehow this is the plan, which is also a great way to make tourism even worse. Land of the free, good luck getting on the plane. Gavin Newsom wasted no time posting some truth. The 4 people tasked with our nation's security. Absolute gong show. Airport lines for thee, caviar for me. Big fan of your post, Gavin, but face too thin, fingers too big, and hands not hit with the Christy Gnome paint gun makeup job to cover his weirdo bruises. Donald Trump himself posted, "I'm so proud of our ICE patriots. They're helping people with bags, even picking up and cleaning areas." Cleaning areas? Federal immigration agents are the world's most heavily armed janitors now. He also mentions that they have much larger and harder muscles than most. Okay, if you haven't seen the images making the rounds, these are the hard-bodied men. RFK Jr. wants to put chin-up bars in airports. They look like they would be more suited for the merry-go-round. These fellas look like they only took the gig because they thought the ice stood for ice cream. They're wandering the terminal looking for the Spencer gifts in the vape shop while thinking about how many scoops they're gonna get after their shift. Then you've got the ones looking like they're waiting for the salami sample at Costco. This one's standing behind the TSA screen, blanking at it the way my grandpa would look at an iPad. Do I need to put a quarter in to see the weather? Subscribe. And of course, Lauren Boebert had to get in on the action. She posted the shaky cam clip claiming ICE agents are a miracle because the lines were only 5 minutes long.
So President Trump sends ICE agents to the airports across the country, and while the rest of our country has 3+ hour waits, thanks Democrats, Minneapolis airport's TSA wait time right now is less than 5 minutes. Called it.
Called it. ICE wasn't even at Minneapolis, St. Paul. The airport confirmed it. Local news confirmed it. The lines were short because the actual TSA team there is competent, which is a concept Lauren Boebert can't grasp. Speaking of grasping, how about that camera work? That was some shaky iPhone. I guess it's impossible for her to grip something and not want to go Beetlejuice, if you know what I mean. The Metropolitan Airports Commission stated MSP was not aware of any planned changes to security staffing and that short lines, under 30 minutes, often under 5, were due to their own local TSA team's performance, not ICE. Trump putting ICE agents in airports feels like a square peg in a round hole, which, to be fair, also feels like it could be part of the cognitive tests he keeps talking about, which is actually used to screen for early signs of dementia.
A cognitive test. I took it 3 times. It's actually a very hard test for a lot of people. It wasn't hard for me, but it's a cognitive test. It starts off with an easy question, and by the time you get to the middle, it gets tougher. By the time you get to the end, very few people can answer those questions. They get very tough, mathematical equations and things. I took it 3 times. I aced it all 3 times in front of numerous doctors that I have no idea who they are. And I was told when I went in, they said, Doc Ronnie told me this. My current doctors, who are fantastic doctors, they said, well, if you take it, it's Walter Reed. It's essentially a public hospital. And if you do badly, it's probably going to get out. But I aced it. I got them all right.
Okay, bragging about how smart you are, but then not being able to name more than one doctor says a lot. We've all seen the tests. We've flipped through the PDF. It's not exactly challenging. But if you're taking that on the regular, it's not something you should be boasting about. You want your proctologist to say, see you in 5 years, not 5 months. Newsom trolled Trump with this report card, completed without bragging, repeating, or turning it into a personality trait. When Trump said nobody wants a president who's brain dead, he posted, wow, Trump is going to resign, and added, "This one I love. No thanks, buddy. I'm MAGA." Now, speaking of MAGA hats and getting back to airports, here's Andrew Tate, the guy that says books are stupid, thinking he's getting a selfie at CPAC with a fellow MAGA fan. Too bad you can't read, Andrew. ICE agents are not certified to operate scanners or perform official bag searches, so instead they're managing lines, checking IDs, guarding doors, the basic logistical tasks that don't require the specific training or the harder muscles the president keeps mentioning. ICE agents in the TSA line feels like one of those CAPTCHA tests, select all images with people qualified to work at an airport. And because this deployment is being done quickly, you've got agents stepping into an environment they weren't trained for, while the people who were trained for it aren't being used. The result is a bizarre mismatch where the airport looks fully staffed, but the number of people actually qualified to clear your suitcase has gone down. Here's a quick pro tip to keep the airport lines moving quickly. It's been like, 15 years since the liquid laws came in and really screwed up travel. But every time I fly, and I had 2 flights this week, I'm behind multiple people getting full bottles of water and shampoo taken out of their bags, stopping the line. How have you not learned by now? These rules aren't new, and you're just screwing it up for everyone. Here's the thing. We often have a couple drinks in the sky. It calms the nerves, kills some time, but even I question this because I got the exit row. And the same person that's telling me I could be in charge of getting everyone out is encouraged to sell me $10 beers. You want another? You want another? How you doing over there? You want another? Airport security won't let that sunscreen through, but you're fine to knock back IPAs and then try to figure out a complicated looking door in an emergency. An actual emergency, like the one we just had. Again, way to go, Trump. I'm just saying, we're doing this wrong. We pay extra for that seat. We should be paid to sit there. It's like, okay, you got to stay sober, all right? We're paying you to not have a drink. Prove you can actually do it, not just sitting there going, Antigua and Berbuda.
Antigua and Berbuda. Aruba. Antigua and Berbuda. Aruba.
Melanie says she's fluent in several languages, still has not been proven, and her English here sounds like she's at karaoke trying to do Kokomo and the lyrics froze. I make this independent show on my own. If you love what I do, consider leaving me a tip, become a member for extras, hit up my referral links, and stream my stand-up on Spotify. And I love this image making the rounds of racks of her DVD for 99 cents. I know it's fake, but it's still bloody hilarious and still too expensive. And now Trump says he's going to sign an order to pay TSA agents. But as of now, there's still no full funding deal in place, so the situation at airports hasn't actually changed. Even if something is approved, that doesn't mean there are suddenly more TSA agents showing up. It just means the ones who are already there are finally going to get a paycheck. And that part is obviously a good thing. But even then, this isn't instant relief. That money just doesn't show up the next day. It can take days, sometimes longer, which means many of these workers are still dealing with missed rent bills and real financial pressure because it's almost the end of the month. The same situation that allowed the system to break down is now being corrected after an attempt to patch the gap with personnel who weren't trained or authorized to perform core security functions. It creates this strange sequence where the problem is introduced and an effective workaround is deployed, and then the original system is reinstated and presented as a fix. It's like needing a plumber but getting a DJ instead, and then halfway through the flood you're knee-deep in water listening to techno music going, you know what? Let's just pay the plumber. Let's do that.
The president has done so much for the American people, and we want to honor him in some small way, some token of our appreciation for his leadership. And so tonight we have created a new award. We're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to honor him with a new award that we'll present annually from this point forward. But he is the suitable and fitting recipient of the first ever America First Award. We can think of no better title for what that is. That's this beautiful golden statue here, appropriate for the new golden era in America.
I honestly don't know what's more embarrassing. These clowns in matching shoes spending their time coming up with shiny objects to please their diapered boss, or the guy that genuinely thinks he's actually won something. It's a participation trophy for an adult who refuses to participate in reality. And this thing is just bizarre. It looks like an eagle trying to pick up a deuce. I don't get what's going on there, but it looks like Kevin Sorbo directed this piece of art.
But in yesterday's special election in Florida, he voted by mail. How do you square those two statements?
Look, I think some states have handled mail-in balloting well. I think Florida is a good example of that. They don't allow fraud, and they have great systems. I was talking yesterday to Laurel Lee, one of our colleagues here in the House, and she used to help run elections in the state of Florida, and she talked about how many great processes they have in place to ensure that you don't have a lot of fraud. But that is not true in other parts of the country, and that is the concern, especially in a state like California or states where they just send mail-in ballots to everyone for no reason whatsoever. It is a matter of common sense. It is an obvious thing that if you're mailing ballots out, inherently, it opens the door, at least the possibility of fraud.
No fraud in Florida? Tell that to the residents of the villages. We've seen MAGA activists get hauled into court for casting multiple ballots or signing their dead parents' names. It is not a fraud-free state. It's a state where the fraud is coming from inside the house. But if you listen to Johnson, it's only cheating if you're doing it from a blue state. But the best part is when the man himself is asked to explain the double standard.
Tell me about mail-in ballots. Go ahead. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did. You know what? Because I'm president of the United States, and because of the fact that I'm president of the United States, I did a mail-in ballot for elections that took place in Florida, because I felt I should be here instead of being in the beautiful sunshine taking.
But you were in Palm Beach, sir, the last few weekends.
That's right, and I decided that I was going to vote by mail-in ballot because I couldn't be there, because I had a lot of different things. But you know, we have exceptions for mail-in ballots. You do know that.
I'm allowed to. That's the official slogan of the unqualified administration. It's only cheating when you do it. When he does it, it's a convenience for a busy patriot. He was at Mar-a-Lago during voting hours. He didn't have to vote by mail. He just didn't want to leave the golf course. He's calling the system corrupt while using it to vote for a guy who still lost. Apparently, even the mail-in patriot vote couldn't save that campaign. Mail-in voting isn't some fringe loophole. It is widely used. This isn't some radical idea. It's what modern democracies do. So the idea that it's suddenly corrupt doesn't really hold up, especially since all the actual fraud cases that have been prosecuted have been Trump supporters. Speaking of which,
into our country, most of them break a law within the first 3 months. Most of them, we're on TV here, please. We're on TV, please. We're on TV, please. Okay, we're on TV, please. We're on TV, please. Okay, we're on TV, please.
What are you serving it with?
We're on TV, please. We're on TV, please.
What are you serving it with?
I'm not accepting it.
What are you trying to serve, ma'am?
We're on TV, please.
Yeah.
We're on TV, please. Okay.
yes, Mike Lindell got served and acted like it was a game of tag. No returns, can't get me. Like being on some streamer's clip made him invincible to legal action. And then he ends up touching the papers anyhow and throwing them away like a toddler tossing the coloring placemat away at the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. He's still running for governor, barely in the race though, polling at 3%. But it's clear the process server's at 100%. But before Lindell had left the CPAC stage to plug his run for the state he calls Minnesota, this happened.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the CPAC?
They didn't even listen to the question. They're just pre-programmed to whoop and cheer at whatever is said. I mean, it's hilarious, but hey, we're the sheep, right? Maybe if you didn't suck so much, you would be good. Thumbs way down. Don't pretend you have thumbs. MAGA tears. Nice hair, buddy. Maybe you should sell Cums. I'm bald, and I still know how to spell combs. Oh, that B is so tricky. But maybe you weren't even going for a hairstyling product. Maybe you do want to see other things in my merch store. But I think I'm going to just, I'm going to keep it to hats and mugs and skip the DNA. MAGA tears. And of course, Lauren Boebert had to get in on the action. She posted this shaky clam. Oh, she does have a very shaky clam. I can confirm. Because it's not just at the top anymore. Trunt rhymes with, because the actual TSA team there is competent, which is a concept Lauren Boebert can't grasp. Speaking of grasping, can't even get it out. They're in the terminal looking for the
I can confirm the Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube, and I hope you subscribe.